Holy crap, you guys, this story is actually crazy. Like when I was going back in my history on my phone, like looking for all like the points for the story, like there were things that I forgot that are actually fucking crazy. So I'm just like blown away. But yeah, basically today's video is going to be a bit different. So if you are new to my channel, I usually do like videos in my car talking about like personal growth stuff. I talk about challenges that I face every day, and it's kind of just like advice to help anybody going through the same thing. And it's just like kind of like car rants. But I do want to start filming different videos. So today's video is gonna be a story time, and I have lots of story times like that I could make in the future. So if you guys like these types of videos, definitely let me know. But yeah, today's video is going to be about me getting my misogynistic, crazy, disgusting, creepy fucking supervisor fired, okay? This was a fucked up time in my life, but it ended up being a very badass feminist moment for me. And the reason that I want to tell this too, not only for entertainment purposes because it's a crazy fucking story, but also because again, my videos are usually about personal growth and God and spirituality and rising to become your best self. And this was a huge monumental moment in my life where I discovered my connection to myself and my connection to God. And it was like a huge dark moment, but it ended up bringing me so fucking close to God and like my truth and the power that I have as a woman in a male dominated place where you're constantly having people say disgusting things and be misogynistic to you. And if you are a previous subscriber and you subscribe to me just for like my car videos, I am going to be changing things up a little bit. I'm still going to be doing those videos, but I do want to start making more content. My content's probably going to be all over the place because I'm just trying to have fun with it, and I'm not trying to like follow a niche because I realize that that's what's been keeping me stuck and keeping me from actually filming. So I'm just going to film whatever the fuck I want. So if you guys like this video, definitely let me know down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so before we actually get into the story, I have to give you guys like a quick backstory on this work environment as a whole, and also a quick backstory of my supervisor and the type of person that he was. Also, my foundation is kind of orange, but mind your business. Okay, so the factory itself that I worked at, basically, like, it was an electrical factory where we would like make boxes that held electrical cables. Okay, so those boxes that you see like holding cables, that's what we made. And basically, we made those boxes and we packaged them. My job was to package these boxes. Okay, so I worked on an assembly line. If you've ever worked in a factory, you know what I'm talking about. You work basically like on a belt. You're standing there all day just packing shit into boxes, and it's really fucking boring, and you're literally doing it for hours on end. Factory jobs are very misogynistic. You're working with majority of them being men, and a lot of them are like, I don't want to give tradesmen a bad like reputation because there's a lot of great tradesmen out there, and I love tradesmen. Like my brother was a tradesman. You know what I mean? Like I love tradesmen, but they do have that rowdy energy, and a lot of them are dogs. And even the good tradesmen will tell you that. Like I guarantee a good tradesman will tell you like, yeah, the people that they work with are dogs. So basically this work environment, like when I first started there, I literally felt like a fish being thrown into shark infested water because I was 18 years old. I have a big butt. And as soon as I walked in there, it was like they've never seen a woman before. And I could make a whole story alone, like a whole video alone on just the things that have been said to my face. Like I can make a whole video on that. And if you want that, let me know, like just the horrors that I went through working at this job. But today's video is specifically about this one supervisor who I ended up getting fired. So a little bit about him. We're gonna call him Brad. I think I've named people in my stories Brad before, but he has one of those names, okay? You know those types of names. We're gonna call him Brad, okay? So Brad wasn't always my supervisor. So at this point, I had been been working at this job for about a year, okay? And I used to be on the day shift, so I had a different supervisor, but then I switched to the night shift, okay? So I switched to the night shift, and Brad was the supervisor. And let me tell you, I have heard many stories about Brad before I even worked with him. So Brad was actually known to have gotten a girl pregnant at this place. So I already didn't really like him because I'm like, okay, so you're a weirdo. Like, he got this one girl pregnant that worked on night shift, and she ended up having to switch to a different plant because it was like a conflict of interest. And I just thought he was a dirtbag. Like, you know what I mean? I just thought he was a weirdo. I was like, I've already dealt with enough harassment in this place. Like, I swear to God, if he's a weirdo with me, like, I'm gonna freak out. So that is the backstory on Brad. I know it's not like a huge long backstory, but that's pretty much all that I knew about him. I knew that he was kind of just like a womanizer. He literally got someone pregnant, and there were rumors that they were hooking up at work. So I just thought he was a loser. I thought he was gross, and I just didn't want anything to do with him. However, because he was going to be my supervisor, like, there was nothing I could do, so I just had to be like civil, cordial, and just deal with it. But I will say that the first time that I ever met him, I was sitting on a table because when you're at the assembly line and you're waiting for parts, like, it can be really straining on your back. So we had like a table behind us that I was sitting down on. And I had just switched. This was my first shift on night shift, and he came over to introduce himself. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I stayed sitting when I shook his hand, and I ended up hearing that he found that that was very disrespectful. And I just thought that was really funny when I heard that because I could tell that he had kind of like one of those power trip ego things, especially with women. And so the fact that he was mad that I didn't stand for him, I thought it was kind of funny because I'm like, you have so many issues going on that I can't even get into that right now. But yes, that was the first kind of like negative thing that I heard, is that he was upset that I didn't stand for him. Like, oh my God, these types of men are so embarrassing. I'm sorry, because their egos are just so fragile, and they think that you're supposed to kiss the ground that they walk on. So as I started working on night shift, I actually got along pretty good with Brad. Like, I didn't think he was that bad. I expected him to be really flirty and creepy with me based on the things I heard, but he was actually really normal, and I actually liked him as a boss. I thought he was pretty chill. I thought he was funny. I thought he was like easy to talk to and get along with, and I didn't get any weird vibes from him, so that was a plus for me. And I was like, okay, like, I like this guy. He knows that I'm a hard worker, and I can deal with this. Another bit of backstory that I forgot is that I was dating somebody at the time. So we knew each other in high school. He was in my sister's grade, so he was 2 years older than me. And then we ended up working at the same factory and we started dating. So that's just a little bit of backstory. We're going to call him Anthony. Okay. So my boyfriend at the time, his name was Anthony. And yeah, that's just a bit of backstory. So as time goes on, things were fine, but then this is when things start to change. Okay, so when COVID happened, they had to cut back their hours. Like, they weren't getting as much business, and so they had to cut back their hours, meaning they had to let people go. And I was the lowest seniority at the plant, and so my supervisor basically said, okay, so I was on the assembly line, and he said, okay, so to avoid having to let you go, I have to move you to a different job in the plant, which was the paint line that I mentioned earlier. So it was only going to be like a couple feet over, except I would be getting lower pay and I would be doing a lot more physical work. Okay, so I was obviously like upset about this, but it was fine with me because I obviously wanted to keep my job. And yeah, so I got moved to the paint line. So my pay went down by, I don't know, like $1 or something. And I started working on the paint line. It was a very physically demanding job. I ended up pulling something in my shoulder while working on that paint line. And I also just had like constant fucking back pain. Like, it was not a job for a small fucking woman, okay? It just wasn't. Like, it's a very heavy lifting constantly all day. Like, the stuff is constantly coming off the line and you're just like taking it off the hooks, putting it on a skid, like, and I was constantly working, and because I'm a hard worker, like, I took charge of the station, and basically I was working there for a while, like, I think like 6 months or something like that. And I wasn't allowed to go back to my other job because there was no position available. So basically, I had to stay in the paint line until a position back in assembly opened back up, okay? So finally, a position opens up. Okay, so we got all the backstory out of the way. Now, on to the real story. Finally, a position opens up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for it. And there was no reason I shouldn't have gotten it because you basically get privilege to jobs when you already work at the company. So I got the job, and I was supposed to be put in that job in 3 weeks. Like, they have to put you in that job in 3 weeks. They have to find somebody to take your place in your old job and move you to the new one in 3 weeks, okay? So I apply for this job, I get it. 3 weeks pass, and Brad is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Sydney, I can't move you yet because I don't have anybody to replace you." I'm like, "Okay, it's fine. Like, I'm a team player, I'll deal with it. It's not a big deal." So I kept working there and I kept training people. Like, we had new people in like every day training to take my place. And they either kept quitting or they just weren't trained enough. But I wasn't the only one there. There were two other people, as well as another guy who was on like modified duties. So he technically was, there had to be three people there that knew what they were doing. So there was two other people and me, and then the guy that was on modified duties. So I went to Brad and I said, okay, we at one point we had like six new people all training at once, and I said, there is no reason that I need to be here. There is like eight of us on this line right now. There's no reason why the guy with modified duties can't train these new people while I go to assembly. Like, I already got the job. I want to be making more money. I don't want to be doing this heavy lifting. Like, I want to go to the job. And he said, "No, Sydney, I'm sorry." Like, da 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 da. And I was getting like irritated because at this point, I think it was like 3 months and I still wasn't in my position. So I was like, no, this isn't working for me. I don't like this. So basically, in the company, we have this thing called an association, and you can compare it to a union, okay? A union is an outside thing that you pay into, but an association was people that work in the company were elected to be represented for us, representatives, if that makes sense. So I went to our association and I basically explain what was going on. And I don't remember how Bradley found out that I went to go talk to them, but he was not happy about that. But as an employee at this place, you have a right to go talk to your association representatives whenever you want. Okay, I believe that you are supposed to do it on break. So I think that's why he was upset, is because he knew I went there during like a shift, and he was mad that I went to go talk to them because he knew I was talking about him. And so, in order to silence me, this is what he did. And this isn't even the worst of it. This is just the first thing that he did, okay? So, he gave me my 3 month review in assembly. But if you guys don't remember, I'm still working on the paint line. Like, yes, technically I've gotten the job title for 3 months, but I've never actually worked there. Like, it was crazy. So he gave me a review. He calls me into his office at the end of the night. And keep in mind, I was one of, if not the most hardest worker there. I literally took charge of the paint line because the guys that I worked with were dumbasses. Like, I'm sorry, they were dumbasses. So I took charge of this line. I worked hard, okay? These were 10-hour shifts. I was constantly like telling people what to do and doing everything myself and doing all the paperwork. I was doing everything, okay? He calls me into his office. He's like, "We're going to do your 3 month review." And I was like, okay. So I'm already like irritated, but I was like, you know what? Let's just see what he has to say. You know what this motherfucker said? He gave me, so there was a score out of 5. He gave me a 2, and he said I was unprofessional. He said I don't work well with others. I have a bad attitude. He went on and on. He said this to my face, okay? He said this to my face, bro. And it took everything in me not to cry because I was just so like burnt out by this point. Like, constantly working so hard. I'm only like 19, And this 40 something year old man is literally telling me to my face, like, you have a bad attitude, you don't work well with others, just shitting on me. And I was just like, is this allowed? Like, how is this allowed? And I remember, if you don't remember my boyfriend at the time, Anthony, I was telling him all of this as it was going on, and he was really unsupportive. Like, he was always just telling me, like, oh, like, blah, 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 he's just doing his job. Like, I don't know. He would always just make excuses. And so this night, after this happened, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I went into my car and I was driving home and I was just crying and crying and crying. And I was like, that was like the most fucked up thing that's like ever happened. Like somebody just like, because I knew he was doing it to spite me. Like I knew it wasn't a fair review. And I was really like upset because I was like, this is just like not allowed. And when I was telling my boyfriend, and like, he didn't even really care. And so I basically got to a point where I just felt like so fucking alone. I remember like crying out to God in my car and just being like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing by trying to like hold him accountable for this. Like I need like help. Like I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And I remember that was one of the first times that I heard God's voice in my head. I heard this voice in my head basically telling me, like, this isn't right. You need to stand up for yourself, even if nobody's on your side. Like, it wasn't just my boyfriend. Like, my mom and her boyfriend also worked at this company at a different plant. And, like, they knew what was going on. And they kind of just told me, like, oh, like, just deal with it. Like, if you say anything, it's going to rock the boat. And I was like, but that doesn't feel right, like, in my soul. And, like, before all of this, there were already like I said before, there were already so many instances of me being harassed. Like my soul was so fucking tired of taking this from people. And now that he was just telling me to my face, like all of these lies to get me in trouble for standing up for myself because I just wanted to go to the job that I was supposed to be in. I was like, I have to keep pursuing this. And I was so fucking scared. Like literally, like nothing was lower than that moment of crying out to God in my car, just feeling so alone and feeling like, God, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this going to make things worse? And then just feeling that calm energy, just saying, like, keep going. You know that you have to do this. Everything will be okay. Okay, I have to give a little bit more backstory again about myself before I go further into the story. So, before this time, I was in and out of the hospital for period issues. So if you don't know what PCOS is, basically it's like cysts on your ovaries. So I kept having like unexplainable pain and I ended up going to the hospital after like throwing up everywhere at home, and I found out after like so much testing that it was I had like a cyst or two on my ovaries and they kept bursting. So at this time in my life, I had a lot of issues with my periods. Like I was going home a lot from work whenever I would be on my periods because it would be so fucking heavy. Like I would literally be bleeding out all the time at work and the pain literally felt like I was being stabbed with a knife, okay? So that's the backstory of like my health conditions at the time. Now after that whole bad review thing happened, I had to go back to the association guy to tell him that he gave me a bad review on purpose because I was speaking out about this job situation to the representative. So I was on my period the week before this was happening. And again, it's necessary to the story. If you think the details don't matter, just wait. So a week ago, I was on my period. However, because of my period issues, I have had my period for longer than a week before. Like, that's not uncommon. And if you're a girl, you know that. Like, the whole, like, oh, your period is a week long. Like, it's dependent on your health issues. Some people can have their periods for weeks on end. Some people can only have it for a couple of days. Like, if you have health conditions going on, it can affect the duration of your period. But I will admit, at the time of this happening, I wasn't on my period. I lied about that, but I don't fucking care. I had to lie, and I'm glad I did. Anyways, we'll get into that. So, in order to go talk to the association rep without him finding out, because if you don't remember, last time he found out, he gave me a bad fucking review. I was like, okay, I'm going to ask to go to the washroom to get a tampon because he can't say no to that. So I asked to go to the washroom, and we had two washrooms. So we had one that was on our side and then one on the very far end of the plant. Well, that's also where the association rep was. So I had to pretend like I was going to that bathroom so I could go talk to him in secret. Like, the fact that I even had to do that is fucking crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Our bathroom, the one on my side, was known for always running out of tampons. Like, it never had tampons. Like, when I actually was on my period, I have had to go to the other side of the plant to get tampons and pads before because ours was always out. So I remembered that and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna say I went to that washroom because they were out of tampons in this washroom if he asks. So I was gone for like 15 minutes, which is long, but at the same time, like, I've been in the bathroom longer than that before. Like, I used to cry in that bathroom all the time, sit on my phone all the time, and like, it was never a problem. But because he had this vendetta against me, because he knew that I was trying to hold him accountable for not putting me in my job placement, he was trying to catch me doing something wrong. So I go to the washroom, I come back 15 minutes later, and about 5 minutes after I get back to work, Brad comes up to me and he's like, Sydney, can I ask you why you were gone for so long? And I said, oh, I was in the washroom. And he was like, for 15 minutes. And it's like, number one, even that is crazy. Like, you can't even be saying that to an employee. Everything he was already doing was too far. But like I said before, it still gets worse. So he's like questioning why I was in the bathroom so long. And I was like, oh, well, I'm on my period. This one ran out of tampons. I had to go the other side of the plant. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. And you can tell he knew I was lying and he was pissed off, but he couldn't say anything. And I was like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I was just like, this is crazy. This is actually crazy. So then I go back to work, and about 5 minutes after that, my boyfriend Anthony comes up to me and he says, why did I just see Bradley go into the woman's washroom? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, oh, I saw him go like into the cage, which the cage was like an area where we had all of like the extra screws and whatever. He's like, yeah, like I saw him go into the cage, he grabbed some change, and then he went into the woman's washroom. And I was like, no fucking way. So then I gave it like another 5 minutes. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait like a few minutes, then I'm gonna go in the woman's bathroom, like the one closest to us, okay? The one that was on our side of the plant. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go check in like 5 minutes. When I walked into the woman's bathroom, my heart literally fucking dropped and my heart started pounding. On the counter, there was a tampon just like placed there. And I instantly knew, like, oh my god, it literally still gives me shivers and chills to this day. He went in there and paid for and got a tampon from the dispenser and left it there as a little fuck you for lying to me. Oh, it was so creepy. It makes my skin crawl. Like, I hate it. I couldn't believe he did that. I was literally like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. So I was like, oh my god. Like, I didn't even know what to do. My heart was just like literally pounding. My stomach dropped, like, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to work. Like, this is actually getting like weird and this is getting fucked up. So I go back to work, and again, 5 minutes go by, and he comes over and he's like, Sydney, can you please come to my office so we can talk? And I was just like, oh my god, there's no way. So I was so scared. Like, I was so scared because he had already given me a review talking shit to my face. And now he's doing this crazy shit. And now he's just calling me into my office. Like, I literally had no clue, like, what was gonna happen. I was so fucking scared. But I kept telling myself, like, just be strong. Like, pretend, like, be confident. Don't let this shit, like, rock you. Like, you have to be confident, okay? So I went into this office. And I said, like, what's up? And he was just like, yeah, so basically, I got the cleaning lady to go into the woman's bathroom and check the dispenser, which, let's pretend that that's true. That's still fucking crazy. The fact that he was even saying that, I was like, you realize that's psychotic, right? Like, to even have somebody check that I was lying in the first place is crazy. Like, if somebody is lying to you, like, you kind of just have to let it go when it comes to things like that. But the fact that he was even willing to get somebody to check, I was like, you sound crazy thinking that you sound like normal right now. Like, it was so like insane. Okay, you guys, something happened with my audio, so it might be fucked up. I'm not sure yet. But, anyways, he starts telling me, like, yeah, I got the cleaning lady to check, and she said that there were tampons in there. And I literally, number one, like, I started smiling, and in my head, I was like, you are so fucked. Like, you don't realize how bad you just fucked yourself because now I can go to HR and tell them all of this. So I was silently smiling, listening to his lies, like, yep, tell me more. Tell me more about how the cleaning lady did that. Like, I was just like laughing at him in my head because I was like, he's trying to scare me right now, yet he's lying to my face. You don't realize how badly like you're fucking yourself over. So just keep talking. So he's like, yeah. So I just want like kind of an explanation. I was like, well, and I just went with my lie. I was like, I'm not admitting this shit. So I was like, well, there hasn't been tampons there in the past, so I just went to the other one. Like, is it really that big of a deal? Like, that is a plausible lie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there has been no tampons in that bathroom before. So that's why I was like, why are you so fixated on this? So he basically like interrogates it out of me though, and I was just gonna give him the win in the moment. Like I was playing a mind game with him, and it was kind of fun. I was like, "Oh my god, who am I?" Because I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let him think he's winning right now. Okay. So I said, okay, yeah, like I went to go talk to the association rep. I'm sorry for lying. And I just straight up admitted it, which I also felt like Loki gave me more power because he he wanted me to like be sad or upset that he caught me. But because I knew the truth, I was like, me admitting that I lied isn't the biggest problem anymore, is it? Like this is going to be bigger for you. So yeah, I'll admit that I lied. And he like expected me to like be like embarrassed, but I was just like, yeah, I lied. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like when someone tries to catch you, but if you end up saying what you did, it's like you can't really catch me for anything because I just admitted it myself. You know what I mean? So when I said that, he was trying to be like, okay, well, there's going to be discipline for this. And I said, okay, that's fine. And I smiled because I knew the fucking truth. I was like, oh, really? There's going to be discipline for me, Bradley? Really? Why am I calling him Bradley now? I don't fucking know, okay? So, anyways, I'm like, okay, I know the truth. And I have to go, like, tell somebody about what happened. So I went back to my association rep and I told him what happened. And he was like, that's fucking crazy. We need to do something about this. But he told me that Brad came up to him and asked him if I went to go talk to him. And you know what he said? He said, oh, she told me she was on her period, but she was on her period last week. So how is that possible? This man remembered that I was on my period last week, which, okay, fair. I probably went home. Like, I'm sure I went home for being on my period. So it's not like that crazy that he remembered, but it's the fact that he was like, as a man, you're keeping tabs of when I'm on my period. Like, that was the craziest shit I've ever heard. So he literally said, she was on her period last week. That's not possible. And I was just thinking, how dumb are men? Like, they really think like they know anything about our bodies. Like, you're actually like, it just was the most misogynistic shit. Like, you thinking that you know women's bodies more than them. Like, you realize it's possible, right? And I have been on my period for long. Like, I've been on my period for 3 months before because of health issues. So when I found that out, I was just like, this guy just keeps digging himself a bigger hole. So I wanted to send an email to the company, but you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to let the association rep handle it. And I have my own feelings about that guy. Like, he literally had one of the biggest egos too, and he was also taking forever to like make shit happen. Like, I kept asking him like, what's going on with this? Like, like it was taking way too long, okay? But he finally set up a meeting with me and HR to tell them about all of this. So my meeting day finally comes, and I sit down with them, and I don't know if you guys like have ever experienced HR, but like they're pretty fucking terrible. Like, they're, I don't know, that's my experience from what I've seen, but like HR is usually very like drama, and they don't actually care about the employees, and that's kind of like the energy of these people. They were very just like condescending, like treating us like we're scum of the earth because we're factory workers. So that was the energy that I got from them. And when I was telling them everything that happened in the meeting, they just like, you could tell they didn't care. You could tell they were annoyed with me. Like the whole company itself was just so misogynistic. So it was almost just like, ugh, this fucking annoying girl like is complaining about da. Like I could just feel that they weren't taking me seriously. And then one of the women there asked me like, so what would you like us to do? And she said it very condescending like that. And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you guys do when these things happen. And she's like, no, like, I'm asking you what you want us to do. And I was like, I guess I want him to be fired. Like, I don't know. And she was just very condescending. And they were laughing at me too. Like, they were doing like that condescending laugh where like they're trying to make you feel dumb. And she was just like, well, like, I'm asking you what you want us to do. And I was just like, the fact that you guys aren't taking this seriously is fucking crazy. Like, oh my God, it was just unbelievable to me. So again, I like went home and I was like, okay, the association rep is taking way too long. These people are fucking laughing at me. And after the meeting, I was just expected to go back to work after he did all of this. And so I was just like, no, I'm taking the day off. And so I took the day off and I wrote a fucking letter to the company. Yeah, I did. And it was very detailed. Like, I read this letter back today. And I was actually like, there were so many things that I forgot about. But then when I read this letter back, I was like, holy shit, this was worse than I even remembered. So, one of the things that I wrote in the letter that I totally forgot about was something that Brad said to me. This was before all of this happened. This was just like normal, everyday factory life. But something that he said is, okay, so there was this guy named, I don't know, we'll call him fucking Caleb. Me and Caleb were friends, but he was like, kind of like the jokester guy. And one day he was bored and he went around to all of the guys and he said, like as a joke, he was like, oh, like if you were on a deserted island, who are the three people that you would want to bring from the factory to like help you survive? Okay, so he was doing like a question like that. Every single guy, like I didn't hear this because Caleb ended up telling me this. Every single guy told him I would bring Sydney to fuck. Every single guy. And I heard that and I just kind of laughed, which is crazy because I was so conditioned to this type of environment that it didn't even faze me anymore. Like, oh my God. But he ended up asking Brad, who is my direct supervisor. Like, literally, as a supervisor, he cannot say fucked up things. Like, he just can't. And so I'm standing in a three-way group with Caleb and Brad, and he says, "Oh, Brad, I'm asking everybody this funny question, like who would you bring to an island, a deserted island from the company?" And he says, "Oh, I would bring this person cuz this, I would bring this person cuz this, and I would bring Sydney to fuck." And he said that in front of my face as if I wasn't even there. And just laughed. I laughed and I was just like, and when I read that back today, like, I've told this story so many times to my friends and family. I've told it to so many people. And today, when I read it back, it actually hit me like how fucked up that is that he said that to my face. And then I just like, it didn't even faze me. Like, I just laughed and went back to normal life. Like, that's how fucking conditioned I was to having these things said to me in this place. Like, it was actually so fucking disturbing. So when I wrote my letter and I told them everything that he was doing, I also told them that. Yeah, I did. I told them fucking everything. And it was a big deal that I was writing this letter because you're not really supposed to do that. Like, I don't know if anybody's worked in like, I know that it's not like corporate, but there is a corporate level to every work environment. And so you're not really supposed to involve corporate when it comes to dramas and things like that because it can make you just look kind of like, um, I don't know how to explain it, like kind of like dramatic or like they won't take you seriously because you're kind of like making a big scene almost in front of like the big people. Like, you know what I mean? So the fact that I was writing this letter, it was a big deal. And before this, like my mom and her boyfriend were telling me like, "Oh, you're going to make things worse." Da, da, da. And like as a woman, I really took that to heart because my own mom was telling me to just leave it, and it was very hard for me to follow through with like what God was telling me what to do with nobody on my side. Like with even my own mom, which like you learn a lot of what to do in your life by your parents. And if your own mom is telling you like, "Oh, like you should just leave it." Having to go against that is really hard. It's almost having to go against like the one person, like your parents are like your gods when you're a child. Like they know best. And so if the person that you think knows best is telling you not to do something and you're going to go against that, it feels like you're doing something wrong. So it was really fucking scary and hard to even like do this. But when they heard everything that was going on, they were fully on my side and they were helping me write this letter. And my mom's boyfriend, who actually was a supervisor, which that's a whole other thing, but he was a supervisor at the time, and he was telling me like you should send it to like the CEO, like everybody, which was a huge deal. Like you just don't do that. Like you just don't do that. You maybe involve HR, like you talk to them, but you don't go higher than that because at that point like you're getting people involved where like they're not supposed to be. And so I wrote this letter. I detailed fucking everything. I talked about how disgusting it is and how disgusting I feel as a young woman to be dealing with this. Like, I just went over everything, I exposed everything, and I felt like a fucking bad bitch, just to let you know. And I sent it to everybody in the company. Like, I sent it to HR, and I talked shit about HR too. Like I literally said like I had a meeting with HR and the reason I'm writing this letter is because they laughed in my face and didn't take me seriously. And the reason I did this too is because they weren't taking me seriously. Like literally I knew that nothing was going to come from this unless I went above their heads, which I knew they were going to be pissed about, but it's like you guys didn't fucking take me seriously. Like I'm an 18, 19-year-old girl being literally harassed by a 40-year-old man and you guys are just laughing in my face like this means nothing to you. Okay, fine. I'm going to go to your bosses then. And that's what I did. So after I sent this letter, like I didn't go back to work because that was the thing too. After the meeting that I had with HR, they were just expecting me to go back to work with Brad. So I took the day off, I wrote the letter, and I said in the letter too, like nobody has told me what I'm supposed to do to feel safe from this man. So I'm not going back to work. And I told them, "Oh, HR asked me what I want done. Okay, this is what I want done." I said I want a full investigation. I want him to be fired, and I want this to never happen again to fucking anybody. And I want this shit to be taken seriously when another woman has an issue in the future. Like, I was going full fucking feminist mode because I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Fuck this company. They've put me through so much shit. Like I said, there was way more things before this that happened that I'll probably make more videos about if you guys want. But I was just done. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna have my feminist moment and I'm gonna fucking take this company down and Bradley can go fuck himself. So that's what I did. I sent the letter, and all hell broke loose because they basically told me, okay, we're going to do a full investigation. You can't come back to work until the investigation's done. Guess how long I was off work for and got paid for it? 3 months. Yeah, I fucking won. Like, I'm sorry, I won. Anyways, like, I was so happy that I didn't have to be there because this was so stressful. And so, literally, when I was off of work, I just, like, worked on my hobbies and shit. And it was amazing. Like, I don't regret that at all. So, anyways, but keep in mind, I was dating Anthony at the time. So, he was telling me everything that was going on. Now, Anthony was the only one that could actually, like, prove that any of this was true because he's the one that saw Bradley go into the cage, get the money, and then go into the woman's bathroom. So I basically said, like, are you going to tell the truth when they ask you? And he literally told me, like, I don't want to be involved in this. And I literally told him, like, I'm your girlfriend, and this is a big fucking deal. Like, if you don't have my back on this, like, I'm gonna have to break up with you. And that was another thing too. Like I felt so fucking alone because my own boyfriend was literally telling me that he didn't want to be involved. Like this was just some drama. I'm like, this isn't just drama. Like this is literal harassment. So he was not gonna get involved, but they ended up interviewing every single person that worked there, and Apparently, everybody started talking shit about Brad and saying all this stuff that he's done and how horrible of a boss he is. And Anthony ended up telling the truth. So thank God for that, because if he told them like, "Oh, I don't know what she's talking about," then like I don't even think anything good would have came from this and I would have just been crazy. Like as a woman, you're always labeled as fucking crazy when this shit happens. And so I was just really nervous and I knew everybody was going to be talking about this, talking about what was going on. They were going to be calling me fucking names, like whatever. Like I've already dealt with so much like shit at this company of people like talking about me behind my back. Like clearly they all said that they want to fuck me behind my back. You don't think they're saying bad things either? Like I was used to this by now, but it was still fucking scary to know that like everybody's being interviewed. Like it was a full fucking thing, okay? So then 3 months pass and they finally say, okay, so we finished our investigation and we have decided to fire Bradley. So yes, I got him fucking fired. And when I tell you guys that that was one of the most monumental days of my life, like I was so proud of myself because I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for me. Like, yes, people ended up coming in later on helping, but there was a time where I was on my own. And even when all the tampon stuff happened, like the first time, I went up to different assembly workers and I told them that he put a tampon in there and I said, like, something needs to be done about him. And I basically asked them, like, are you guys kind of with me on this? And everybody was like, I don't want to get involved. So nobody wanted to get involved. Keep that in mind. Like, I was on my own. It was me and fucking God. And the only reason, like, I had so many sleepless nights crying where I was just like, God, I don't think I'm doing the right thing, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, the only reason I did this was because of myself. So I was so fucking proud of myself. And of course, after that, I heard so many congratulations from like, I don't want to talk bad about like my family or anything, but like, I was really annoyed that like they were congratulating me after when it's like, you guys were telling me to just stay silent and deal with this harassment. But okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like that this whole thing strengthened my connection with myself because I knew like how strong I am and it taught me that like when you know the truth and you know what's right, like you don't need anybody but yourself and God. And yes, it's a lonely path, but it's worth it in the end. So I go back to work. I'm really fucking nervous because I haven't been there in 3 months and everybody knows what happened. So I walk in and it was kind of just like, it was a lot. But then I had everybody taking credit for him being fired. Like every single person was going around telling everyone, "Oh yeah, like if it wasn't for me like saying a bunch of stuff about him, like he probably wouldn't have got fired." And that made me so mad because I was like, I fucking did that shit on my own. None of you motherfuckers helped me. All of you grown ass men didn't say a fucking word about how disgusting he is, about how bad he is at his job, about how many things he's done. Like that wasn't the only shady thing he's done. Like he has been shady since he started there. And I was mad that all of these grown men, like they will, like they always do, men will always take credit for a woman's work. So I was just really upset that I was like, I'm a 19-year-old woman. Like, do you know how scary that is to have to stand up for this shit on your own? And you guys are all taking credit. But you know what? I knew the truth. I knew that I was the one that did this on my own. It was an ultimate fucking feminist moment and I was so proud of myself. But yeah, you guys, that's the story of how I got my supervisor fired. Like this was a very fucking scary time in my life and I just wanted to make this video because if you're a woman or just like anybody dealing with any type of like something against you, you need to stand up for yourself, especially as a woman. Don't ever let these fucking disgusting men treat you like this. Like, even if you have to be on your own, even if everybody turns against you, even if everybody thinks you're crazy, and guess what? They will. If you're sitting there right now going through something similar and you're like, oh, like, I'm not sure if I should do anything because everybody's going to think I'm crazy or they're not going to believe me or they're not going to. Yeah, you're right. I'm telling you right now, they're going to call you crazy. They're going to say you're lying. They're going to say you're drama filled because you're a woman. I'm sorry. It's always been a thing. Like, this is why the whole, like, burning the witches thing, like, any single thing a woman has ever done, people label them as crazy for being, like, for speaking out and standing up for themselves. Women always get fucking labeled as crazy, but guess what? It doesn't matter. All you need is God's opinion, and God wants you to stand up for yourself. Like, don't ever let a fucking man treat you like this. And if you are a woman considering working in a factory, please don't. Like, I know, like, it was a huge growing and learning experience for me, and I don't regret it. But if I can help anybody, for the love of God, please do not work in a factory. And if you're like a parent and you have like a young girl, don't ever let her work in a factory. I'm telling you, it rewires your brain in a negative way. Like, I am still recovering from the shit that I have had said to me there. Like, there's so many things that happen there that, like, I would never wish on my worst enemy. It is not a place for women. I don't know about 2025. I don't know. But all I know is that factories, as they are and how I know them, they're not a place for women. Okay, so I just wanted to make that known. And if you are dealing with something, I want you to know that you are so fucking strong. You are amazing. You are a fucking warrior. And don't let anybody like put you down, take advantage of you, treat you like trash. Like, stand up for yourself. And I believe in you, and I know that you can do this. And if you need any help or advice, let me know, because I've been through so many things and I guarantee I could help you. So that's what I want to do. I hope that you guys liked this video. I know it's a bit different style than I usually do, but I have so many stories like this. And if you want to hear more, like, I have so many, so let me know. But my name is Sydney. If you like my vibe, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!